Hey, this is Kristen.
And this is Aaron. We're taking it to 11 on the Drive Mode Show.
Today, let's talk about Nissan cars.
Because the sedan is not dead.
It's not dead. We've said this before, right? And Nissan said it too. They said the sedan market is far from dead. In fact, their statistics say that 4 million sedans were sold last year.
And I can totally see that. There have been a lot of dropouts in the market, but I think that had to do with a combination of it's a difficult market to compete in. Mm-hmm. It's a market that it's not growing. It's kind of hit its plateau. It's kind of sitting for the last couple of years, and it's not as profitable. There's more money to be made in trucks and SUVs right now. So that's where focus has turned. But we don't think the sedan is really dead, and we think Nissan proves that. We're going to talk about 3 of them.
Let's talk about 3 of them. The Versa, the Sentra, and the Altima. Well, right now I'm driving the Altima. I have a 2020 Altima, and I like it. It's nice and quiet. It's very smooth. It reminds me of the Altima that I used to own. I had a 2004 Altima, and a young woman backed into me in the parking lot of Babies R Us and totaled it.
Do you have the all-wheel drive right now?
Yes.
Because that's new for this year. Or last year.
Last year.
Probably new last year, yeah. So the Altima's a great car. Perfectly sized for the segment it's aiming for. And then it has all the goodness of Nissan. Zero gravity seating. Just a nice layout for the interior. Looks good. Now it has the floating roof that's running across the Nissan lineup. Just a great looking car. But you're driving it, so you know more about it.
Well, somebody asked me recently, what does it mean to have zero gravity seats? And I explained that it was developed in coordination with NASA and is designed to take the stress and fatigue off of your body when you're driving. So it may not feel different when you first get in, but over time it reduces that fatigue on your body with, I think it's 14 different points on your body. And it is really comfortable to drive.
Yeah, and when you ask one of the engineers at Nissan, what they'll explain is it's all about spinal alignment. It's all about that spinal alignment. And they
nice segue. Nice reference.
But it is. It really is about how your back is aligned and how that affects weight distribution when you're sitting, which culminates in how comfortable you feel over a length of time. So it's a beautiful thing, and they've had it for quite a while. I think they came out with it it's probably been 10 years at this point. It's been 7 at least.
At least.
So very, very, very cool stuff. And I believe it's in 4 seats in that car, right? So it's in both the front seats plus the 2 outboard seats in the back?
I believe so too. And it's I'm looking at the 2020 down in my driveway right now. I drove it in the snow last year in Montreal, and it handled the snow and the ice beautifully.
Yeah. When I had our next car, when I had the Sentra, I had the all-wheel drive, and that was great in the, it's not going to plow deep snow. No car is going to do that. Most crossovers won't do that either.
Right.
But it was a very, very stable feeling car. And then the all-wheel drive in both those models really adds a lot of balance to the drive quality just in normal driving, everyday driving.
I drove the 2020 Sentra last week in Miami and drove it from Miami to Marathon Key, and I really liked it. And if you look, this is the 8th generation Sentra. If you looked at the last generation, I think the body looks so much nicer. It really has a better look, and it's 2 inches lower and 2 inches wider. So it has a little bit of a wider stance. It's got more sporty lines. And I think it's a great buy. I think it's a great buy. Like, let's say for you have a 14-year-old kid or even a 13-year-old kid, and you know they're going to be driving in a couple years. This is a great time to buy a Sentra, drive it, and then pass it on to them. Because now the Safety Shield 360 is included on every trim.
Yeah, it's standard equipment now. And I believe adaptive cruise is standard equipment on both of those cars, Sentra and Altima. If it's not, it comes really early in the packaging because it's. I mean, if you're going to have forward collision warning, you've pretty much got most of the hardware for adaptive cruise already. So
Yes.
yeah, and then so down at the bottom of their lineup so the entry level car for Nissan is the Versa, which they totally redid for this year. I'm a little bummed that they got rid of the Versa Note because I really like a hatchback when you're getting into those subcompact vehicles because of the amount of space and versatility you add. But
Right.
the Versa, it has a very large trunk, much bigger than I expected it to be, and more roominess on the inside than I really thought it would have. And then it just drives smoothly. They upped the engine slightly and they increased the size of the car roughly 2 inches. And that really went a long way towards improving the interior and giving it drivability. Because before, to be really honest, the previous generation Versa was very sluggish. It emphasized fuel economy. The CVT was very dead. It just didn't want to go anywhere. It was all about making sure you got that 40 miles a gallon. They've remedied that, but didn't affect the 40 mile a gallon, which is great. So it's a
That's
great
impressive.
car. Yeah, it's a great car now. All it needed was that. It's not that much. It's only like 15 horsepower, but that's really all it needed. That and a little change in the programming for that CVT, and it's a much better car to drive and bigger than you would think. I, at 6'3", sat in the car with a little bit of headroom to spare. So
Yeah, and I think the Versa, I just wrote an article on the new Maxima, in fact, and compared it to the Versa. And the Versa is known to have a lot of trunk space for such a small car. I mean, it's got like a mid-size car trunk space. And I like that it doesn't have auto start stop. I can't stand it. I know the reasons behind it, but I like that it doesn't. It has a smooth ride, and the adaptive cruise control is easy to use. The button looks different on the Altima than it does on a lot of other cars. You know, it looks like a clock with a car next to it, or a speedometer with a car next to it. It looks like a blue. It's a blue design on the Altima, the circles around it.
yeah,
And
that's the Pro Pilot.
yeah, and I don't like the placement of how they have the cruise control buttons because I like it to be, and I guess you'd get used to this once you drive it, but I felt like the set and increase the plus and minus buttons were in a strange place compared to where they have the, there's like a menu button and the cruise button, and they feel kind of odd and awkward. It's the only thing I really didn't like about that setup. I think the heated steering wheel is really nice. It heats all the way around. And the heated seats have 2 levels, which I thought was interesting because most, in the Altima anyway, most heated seats I've seen have 3.
I think that's a new generation Nissan thing as far as the heated seats go, because the Versa had it, so this is what's nuts. You're buying the Versa at its most expensive for under $19,000, like $18,500 or $6,000 for this car.
It's a great buy.
And it's got adaptive cruise, heated seating. It's got all kinds of stuff, and it was much quieter than previous generations. It drove way better because of that. I mean, it's crazy in the amount of stuff you're getting for such a low price in that car. And most of the market is moving or has moved that way. So you're getting, if you were to go to like a competitor like Kia, you're getting an equivalent package, more or less, for about the same price. So that's now the base level for us as car buyers, is that we're looking at entry-level vehicles that are coming with lots of advanced comfort and technology things in them. So it's a
Definitely. And that's one of the
crazy
reasons
time to be
that
buying a car.
I'm impressed with Toyota and the Toyota Corolla. I think in the same class. The Toyota Corolla comes with Toyota Safety Sense 2.0, and I think that's great. I love that the automakers are making safety standard. It's really important, and I
Right.
think it's impressive.
So these three cars are all the Nissans. The Versa is the entry level, Sentra is the next one up, and then Altima after that. Those three cars really kind of make up Nissan's sedan lineup. The Maxima, I believe, aren't they cutting that one? I
Not for
can't remember.
2020.
I'll have to look it up. I'll put something on the screen. But my brain is telling me they're cutting the Maxima. And that would probably make sense because full-size cars are where the real sales drops are happening right now. So it's just, there's no market for it. Not as much of a market for it. There is.
Yeah, that's where people are switching to the crossovers, right?
Right. Nissan is proving, and then we saw brand new Kias this year. So brand new Kia model with the Forte last 2019. We saw brand new Toyota. So the Corolla and the Camry have been done, and now these cars, the Corolla and the Avalon, will have all-wheel drive this year. So we're watching what's happening, and we're seeing that the sedan is still there, and it's still doing really well. And we really like to see what Nissan's doing. So I'm a little bit jealous that she has one in her driveway right now.
It's fun. I really liked driving it in the snow. It's fun. It's very capable. When I owned one, I loved that car. It was a red with a spoiler on it, and it was beautiful. It's a beautiful sedan. I really like it. And I like the Nissan brand because it's reliable. It lasts a long time. They're going through some scary transitions right now to figure out what's going to happen. And everybody's got their eyes on the Carlos Ghosn drama.
Yeah, that's been really interesting.
Nissan vehicles, the sedans, the Versa, the Sentra, and the Altima. We covered them all. We didn't cover the Maxima this time, but we can talk a little bit more about that next time. And I think we gave some good and solid information.
I think so. I'm really impressed with where Nissan has taken their sedans. I'm glad to see it. I think they're competitive in every way.
Yep, I think that ties it up, and that's the end of this episode. So this has been Kristen.
And this has been Aaron. And this is Drive Mode Show.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.